Good afternoon, everybody. PC Outcast here, back with more ambition. Sorry about missing yesterday's video. Actually, I'm hoping that this is actually going to be able to come out today. We shall see. Depends on what mood YouTube is in for processing the video. Okay, so the crown is at max power. The revolution is at minimum power. Church also, unfortunately, has minimum power. Military has a little bit, and the bourgeoisie has a fair bit. So, well, hopefully this is going to compensate for this. Probably. We have no gossip because we can't go out anymore. We can go and do these things. We can also do these things. We can still get a little bit of gossip from La Place Royale. We can improve our favor with Ludovico. And more with Ludovico. And Elizabeth and Ludovico. And whatever that is. I guess we can also invite somebody here. And this is Alex. And this is Antoine. Okay, you know what? We've been putting this off. It doesn't look like much, but kind of putting that off throughout the entire game. So, music to your ears. You decide to spend the day walking alongside the river. Halfway through your walk, you notice the sun hitting the water just right, lending brilliant light to the colorful ships and boats. It's a chance moment that looks as beautiful as a painting. You pause to lean against a rail to just take it all in. Nearby, you watch a small private ferry bump into a lavish pleasure craft, igniting a stream of insults and violent oaths from the pilots of the two crafts. Just as the ferryman pulls his oar out of the water to hit someone, you notice that you're not watching this scene alone. A man in black and white with a curious brooch on his jacket is watching the same scene as yourself. A beautiful music, isn't it? He asks quietly. Do you often sneak up on unsuspecting women? Oh. If I've surprised you, I assure you it was unintentional, he says, his voice still level and quiet. I simply didn't want to interrupt the proceedings going on before us. He gestures out over the river. One of the ship pilots is trying to jump over to the other boat, but in the process is being restrained by his own crewmates. As chaotic as it seems, even this everyday conflict has a familiar rhythm, order, and tempo, just like music. Ah, yes. Angelo Strasner, at your service, madame, he says, gesturing to himself. Reporter? Oh, yes. That cow, charmed, I'm sure. I'm charmed to meet you as well, Madame Dico. We spoke of music earlier, and I just realized that you may be able to help me. I have a decision that's left me feeling quite divided. I recently finished a new composition, and I'm looking for a sponsor who would help me fund the first performance of it, but I don't know which to pursue. As of right now, the two groups with the most influence in the world of music are the church and the bourgeoisie. I'm certain my composition will bring popularity to whoever sponsors it, but I don't know who would be best for me. What are your thoughts on the subject? I definitely want to increase the popularity of the church, so I suggest approaching the church. They've sponsored composers since time immemorial. Oh-ho! That is a good point. He nods along, coming around to your idea. I'll start petitioning my associates in the church. Post haste. Well done. He pauses to check his pocket watch. Ah, it seems that I should be about my business. Enjoy the rest of your day, Yvette. Angelos excuses himself with a quick bow, and you are once again alone. You look out upon the river, and it seems that the conflict between the two boatsmen has been resolved without anyone being sent to the bottom of the river. Well, that's good. Experimentally, you close your eyes and just listen to the noises of the city. Perhaps you're imagining things, but it does almost sound musical. Perhaps. Reading the newspaper in the morning these days feels like an exercise in masochism, but still you do it anyway. You might as well know what exactly is on the brink of tearing your entire world asunder today. It appears the Archers have been conducting more raids as of late. They're trying to suppress any political organizations or clubs that are advocating radical beliefs. It might be too little too late, but they're trying to maintain some image of authority and unity. Your eyes suddenly stop at a name buried in the middle of the article. Amongst the list of random clubs and societies that have been singled out, one of them is the mysterious and enigmatic Frankish Habsburgian Society. The article goes on to detail that this society is the same one that Armand was a member of before he was captured and executed. It sends a wretched shiver up your spine to see that printed in a newspaper for the whole world to see. The Archers state that they have not found the leader of the society yet and are urging the public to come forth with credible leads. You continue on with your day as per usual, but you keep thinking back to that article. Something about it is nagging you. Yes, like perhaps we should let them know who the leader of the society is. That might be an idea. Stepping out for a drink, that's Alex. Balance of power. Okay. Elizabeth and Ludovico. Honorad and Ludovico. Elizabeth. I think I want to get closer to Elizabeth. Can I actually, wait, can I just invite her out? Let's say this. No, I'm not actually close enough to her to invite her. I improve. Oh, new. This one. I need to increase my favor with both of them. So let's go ahead. Let's go do that. Walking around the city, you find the streets to be a little quieter than usual. People speak in hushed voices, and your nostrils fill with the scent of sap and wood smoke as you pass a carpenter's workshop. You come across a beautiful church, festooned with sculptures of angels and various saints. Looking closer, it seems that someone has hung a ring of flowers around the neck of a statue of the Virgin Mary near the entrance. Looking around, you spot Elizabeth standing there with her sketchbook. She appears to be studying the sculptures, never bothering to look down at her page while her hands work continuously. Her face looks slack, almost bored while she works. Glances over to you, and suddenly her expression brightens up. Bonjour, Yvette. What are you doing here? There's still so much I haven't seen in Paris. I'm exploring the city.
Ah.
That is a good idea. It's wasteful to let yourself become a homebody in the big city. You can always live out in the country if you don't want to be involved with any of its affairs. This church isn't that popular, but it's my favorite in the city. Overall, it feels like just the right balance of decoration. Beautiful and detailed without having too much stuff.
Huh.
If there's too much going on, all the details become pointless. Just as she says that, you notice Ludovico stepping out of the church. He's talking attentively with an older woman and helping her down the church's precarious stone steps. Upon closer examination, this woman might be the most ancient human being you have ever seen in your entire life. He glances up to you and waves, and proceeds to knock the old lady down the rest of the steps. Watching the glacial pace of their progress, you're starting to wonder if they'll be finished before she has to return to morning mass the next day. Ludovico keeps looking at you plaintively while trying to gently hurry along the proceedings. Finally, Ludovico finishes with his duties and approaches the two of you. Buongiorno. Bonjour, Father. Elizabeth replies, a little uncertain of what to make of the priest that has approached the two of you with such familiarity. I am sorry for not coming over sooner, Yvette. I had a parishioner who wanted to ask me some questions on the matter of faith, but that quickly proved to not be the case. He was just lonely and looking for someone to talk to. I know I'm not supposed to encourage such things, but she needed someone to talk to, and it felt like the right thing to do. Also, those steps are dreadfully unsafe. Oh, and who is your friend here? Ludovico asks, looking over Elizabeth before he suddenly leans back in shock. Madre di Dio! Di Dio! Are you Madame Lebrun? I saw one of your self-portraits in a salon last week. Really? You'll enjoy my work? Elizabeth replies, eyeing him suspiciously. My paintings that have been decried as vain, scandalous, and self-serving? Vain? Scandalous? I never saw such a thing in your work. Just gorgeous paintings of a person. As we're taught, all of humanity is God's creation, which means that to exalt his creation is to exalt him as well. It's either that or all of those nude statues we keep in the Vatican are really sending the wrong message. Indeed. Turning their attention back to you, their conversation falls into an awkward silence as neither of them really wants to make the first move. Aww, they would make such a cute couple. Look at them. They both have soft voices, at least in my head. It looks like you have a decision to make. Well, yeah, we have half-decent credibility. Oh, what's the sudden tension? Come now, you both have so much in common. Oh, we do? Are you sure about that, Yvette? All right, fine. I suppose I should at least try to make some new friends. Elizabeth admits while Ludovico nods in agreement. The three of you all take a seat together and chat for a while. As you talk, Elizabeth draws a sketch of Ludovico and gives it to him as a gift. He's absolutely elated by it. Life is a lot easier when the people you're close to get along. It seems so difficult sometimes, but it can often be as simple as merely convincing them both to drop their guard and letting them work the rest out between each other. Perfect. Eventually your time together comes to an end and you need to head home. All things considered, it feels like a successful day. Indeed, it did. Paris continues in fits and starts to burn. You spend your copious free time poring over what little snippets of news you've managed to pick up over the last few days. At this moment, it looks like the Crown will be able to weather the storm. The Revolution's fire burns, but not brightly enough. This is good news for you, of course. From all your time in Paris and your close association with Elizabeth, the public believes you to be loyal to the Crown. Good. Okay. Still, whatever happens next, you can be assured that the ship of state shall come to port in a sea reddened by torrents of blood. And so, Paris continues to burn. Okay, so good. That was very good that we've been spending so much time with Elizabeth, because she is in good. She represents the Crown. Okay, we could improve our relationship with Alex a little bit, or Honorad and Ludovico. Now I'm thinking this is super duper dangerous. Now let's go and do this. This is the main quest with favor with Alex. At least the military is like somewhat on the side of the Crown. Getting ready for your day with Alex, you check your makeup in the mirror one last time. Flawless, as per usual. With a light step, you head downstairs and Camille opens the front door for you. That's when you're greeted by something truly surprising. Alex is already waiting for you outside, astride a brilliant white horse. Wow. Everything on his uniform is perfectly in place and the leather polished to a mirror's shine. Madame, you look far too beautiful to be walking the streets. May Joseph and I assist you. Your horse's name is Joseph? Yvette, don't be ridiculous. I named him Joseph, he laughs. I haven't heard any complaints from him yet, so I can only assume he likes it. Alex affectionately tussles his steed's mane with a free hand. Joseph gives an appreciative neigh in response. You place a hand in the back of the saddle and he grabs you by the middle of your forearm. On the count of 3, you jump up and he pulls you the rest of the way onto the horse. Thankfully, you already know how to ride side saddle or it would be quite undignified. You should hold on tight. Only when you show me how fast Joseph can go. Ever the woman of action. I love it. With a tug of the reins and an enthusiastic yell. Oh my goodness, look at that CG. It's so scandalous. Joseph rears up and you grab onto Alex instinctively. Together you take off down the street in a good clip. There's something special about riding a horse. Being in a carriage, you inspire mystery as you wind through the streets hidden from view. The public is left to wonder about your identity, your appearance, your intentions. However, on a horse, you're holding yourself up on a living pedestal for all the world to see. People stare and children point. You inspire awe by being so public. It's enough to make you feel like a princess in a fairy tale. Hopefully it's one of the nice fairy tales, not the ones with all the torture. Yes, hopefully. You hold on to Alex's firm waist, thinking about everything that's happened. So, what inspired this grand gesture?
Ooh.
I was feeling inspired by a feeling, Yvette. Today, I woke up feeling more like myself than any other day in my life. He reaches back and squeezes your hand, which is thanks to a certain someone I know. Besides, my unit's been stationed in Paris far too long, and I think Joseph needed the exercise. He gives the horse an affectionate pat on the side of his neck. He turns to you with a mischievous grin. Yvette, can you check my holster? Momentarily worried by the prospect of having to shoot someone, you flip open the leather flap of his saddle holster to reveal an unlabeled magnum of champagne and 2 tin cups. I was promoted this morning. You're now riding with Sergeant Dumas of the Queen's Royal Dragoons, he says, puffing out his chest. Nobody else in my unit knows about it yet, but I wanted to celebrate it with you first. Would you mind pouring me a glass? You uncork the champagne with a jolly pop and carefully pour yourselves 2 tin cups of fine drink. You pass this cup to him and he holds it aloft in one hand. You're drinking and driving, man? Now, what should we toast to? He mumbles to himself. It appears that I'm at a loss for thought. At a loss. So any thoughts? To His Majesty, the King, long may he reign. Indeed, to the King, viva la Roy! He laughs as he merrily clinks his cup against your own. The military's alliance has moved towards the crown by quite a bit. Excellent. Exactly what we wanted. You sip the champagne to find that it's shockingly good. Must have cost a fortune. Do you like our spoils of battle? I might have appropriated the champagne from some fearsome brigands who had looted a winery a few months back. When we were first called to hunt the thieves down, the count in charge of the winery was dreadfully inhospitable toward us, he says with such a carefree air that you can only assume that this nobleman was completely unbearable. After days of tracking these thieves down, the most incredible thing happened when we found the wine. All at once, the labels fell off and we couldn't remember who to return the wine to. Wow, that is such luck. That feels like justice to me. I'm glad you agree. In the great scheme of things, the Count didn't lose much, and he received a simple lesson on how to treat those supposedly beneath him. As Joseph starts to slow down, you look around and realize you've arrived at your destination, wherever it is. Alex gets down off his high horse and holds out his hand to you. Jump down into his arms. Without warning, you leap from the saddle into his arms. Alex manages to catch you, despite his face being frozen in a mask of shock. The passing crowd favors you with some whoops and cheers, and Alex replies with a theatrical wave. Oh, I don't know if this means that you truly trust me or if you're simply toying with me. Either way, I'm enjoying it. Alex stops to tie Joseph to a hitching post, and then the two of you start to promenade beside the river, tin cups of fine champagne still in hand. Looking at the riverbanks, you can't help but notice just how many people are preparing to flee the city. People with money, at least. No matter what happens, the poorest people are usually forced to contend with the consequences, whatever they may be. I don't blame them, he says, gesturing to the people scurrying under their boats. Things are likely to get worse around here before they get better. Enough worry, though. I promised you a lovely day, and I intend to deliver on that promise. You spend the day promenading up and down the river with Alex. You drink many toasts to his latest accomplishments and to your future together. Oh. Something about your open merriment proves infectious amidst the tension of the streets. People smile in your direction or doff their caps as you two walk past arm in arm. Not a grand day bedecked with finery or stymied with pretension. However, it's a carefree and genuine one that serves to lift your spirits in a way that nothing else would. Makes you feel like everything's going to be alright. Ooh, I lost some peril. Nice. Perhaps this is exactly what you needed. What a great day! And we successfully moved the military. Well, it didn't actually... It moved, apparently, but not enough to go up a point. That's sad. Look at all the question marks. Elizabeth. Ludovico. Honorad and Ludovico. More Ludovico. Alex and Antoine. I don't know about this. Errol. Yeah, you know what? Live dangerous. The nighttime sky is overcast and the streets smell of freshly finished rain. You use one hand to adjust your hood while you look down at the directions Antoine provided in his letter. You glance around at the buildings and note that you found yourself in one of the richer neighborhoods in Paris. In fact, you're not from La Place Royale. Okay. You've reached the end of your directions, so you must be in the right place. However, there's nothing that seems particularly special about this address. You glance around and find the streets to be empty. There's no sign of Antoine at all. Suddenly, you feel a hand reach across your body, grab you by the shoulder, and pull you into an alley. Good grief. When your eyes adjust to the light, you realize that your assailant is none other than Antoine. He's pressed so close to you against the wall that you can feel his rapid heartbeat through his coat.
Oh-ho!
I see that you came. That's good. Neither of you say anything for a long time. Instead, the two of you gaze at each other in the dark, your lips hovering dangerously close. Suddenly, he pulls away, releasing you. Are you ready to do something very direct, very fun, and very illegal? What exactly are we here to do? Do you invite every girl you fancy out to commit crimes against the crown?
Ooh.
No, but you don't feel like every girl to me, he replies, flashing you a wolfish smile in the dark. Antoine gestures behind himself to some buckets of paste and rolled up posters. I've managed to convince some sympathetic citizens to print up these posters that are rather objectionable to the crown. Your curiosity piqued, you unroll one of them and examine it by the light of a guttering street lantern. The poster is a potent mixture of accurate political commentary and extremely obscene imagery. If we post these in a poor neighborhood, one sympathetic to our cause, the watch wouldn't hesitate to punish the people who live there. So, instead, we're taking our work directly to the heart of the problem. He gestures out of the alleyway to the wealthy neighborhood around you. Of course,
I'm sure the watch will be sympathetic to the inhabitants of this neighborhood once we cover it in our messages. It also means that we get to make ourselves heard and remind them of all of the discontent brewing in France. The powerful only sleep comfortably at night because they've convinced themselves that the order they hold by force is the result of public will. They lie to themselves and pretend that the edicts are supported by a silent majority of commoners instead of a regime of organized violence.
He holds up a bucket and paste brush.
Let's challenge that notion, shall we?
Carefully place your posters. Taking your time, you start placing the posters under eaves, on hidden sides of staircases, and any other concealed place you can find. He gives you an upward nod of approval.
Good idea. There's no way they'll find all of them tomorrow. They'll be pulling these posters down for weeks.
As you and Antoine continue to paper the neighborhood in posters, you feel giddy, almost childlike. There's something freeing about exerting your will over this place. A place home to people who wield more power in a single day than you've ever had in your whole life.
Every woman in the world looks better when she's defacing the possessions of the powerful. But you especially, you shine brighter than any lantern in the city.
Both of you freeze in place as you hear the sound of approaching footsteps. Those footsteps grow into the trampling of multiple sets of boots. The light of a lantern shines up a window far down the street.
Ah, that must be the archers. We haven't been discovered yet. They're walking, not running. Still, they'll be here soon.
We need to leave. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. He nods silently in agreement and quietly sets his remaining materials on the ground. Once you do the same, he grabs you by the hand and leads you away. I somehow lost Peril like that. In the distance, you hear the anger and disgust in watchmen's voices as they eventually discover your handiwork. Their discontent grows louder, and you can hear one of them shout,
"Find who did this! Find them now!"
The two of you duck down a narrow alley together. In the close confines of your hiding place, you find yourself pressed up against Antoine once again. No. Signaling him with a tug on his shirt sleeve, you both head deeper into the alley to hide. While you are both otherwise still and silent, you can feel the back of his hand idly stroke the back of your head as he keeps watch. One of the archers is close, extremely close. Even from your position, you can smell the oil of his lantern and the stench of tobacco on his uniform. You're glad that you chose to focus on concealing yourself. X. I've gained some peril. Oh, that's too bad. Antoine doesn't pull away from your embrace, but you can feel one of his hands moving around. In the darkness, you see the glint of steel as he draws a stiletto from his coat sleeve. You finally manage to exhale when the watchman gives up searching in your area to go investigate somewhere else. Together, the two of you make your escape. Antoine offers to walk you home, and you take him up on his offer. The two of you laugh and chat together, giddy from the adrenaline rush of what just transpired. He walks you home and gives you a silent, upward nod before he turns to leave. Camille's waiting on your doorstep.
Welcome home, madame. How was your night out?
Camille, that boy's gonna be the death of me. I really thought I could turn him around, but I think he's going to have me killed. You head upstairs to your room, imagining all the different ways that night could have gone wrong. Despite how tired you are, you find it difficult to get to sleep. Okay, not gonna do that again. No. No, you wake up to the sound of urgent knocking your front door downstairs. You hear Camille go to answer the door, but whoever it is simply pushes by her. Uh-oh. After a brief commotion, a young dragoon enters your room. You recognize him as one of Alex's comrades. His uniform is rumpled and he's breathing heavily.
Huh.
Bonjour, madame. I'm sorry to intrude upon you like this, but I come with urgent news. Alex is occupied with other duties, but he sent me to deliver this.
He hands you a piece of paper with an address on it. You quickly check it against your map of the city. See that it's a section of port along the banks of the river.
I'm sure you've seen the horrors unfolding in our very streets. While we're bound by honor to fulfill our duty to His Majesty the King, we simply cannot guarantee your safety if you stay here. Tonight, at midnight, you'll find a boat waiting to take you from Paris to a major seaport. From that port, you'll be able to flee to safety anywhere in the world. There's just enough room for you and the members of your household. The captain will only be there tonight. I imagine you might not be comfortable leaving so suddenly, but I urge you to accept this offer. I have kept a steady heart while musket balls flew past my ears, but the things I hear people mutter to themselves when I patrol the streets, they put a chill to my soul. Now, I must take my leave, madame. Good day, he says with a bow. He heads downstairs and you hear Camille wish him well as he returns to the streets. You stare numbly at the paper, eyes flickering between the address and your window, looking out to the chaos outside. Leave Paris? At first, you almost reject the notion entirely. You fought for so long to be here, to establish yourself. To give that all up now feels like it would forsake everything you've sacrificed. Yet, perhaps it's time to start a life abroad elsewhere. Perhaps leaving Paris doesn't need to be a defeat. It's a maddening conundrum. Oh, no. Ah. Huh. It feels like this is the end. Do we flee Paris with Alex? Or do we stay put and try to continue to maneuver things? I mean, I think that we've successfully, bolstered the crown. I know that our plan was to, try to sort of make it into the upper echelons of power, but I mean, realistically, we're not actually, we're just peasants anyway. Not peasants, but, country folk. Yeah, I mean, we're never going to actually join the nobility. We did strengthen them, though. We're loyal to the crown. You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and flee with Alex. I mean, we kind of decided when we first met him that he was our guy, so... You shake your head to clear it and everything comes into focus. Sentimentality will get you nowhere, especially while your life is on the line. Time to leave. You leave your decrepit house for the last time to head to the docks. It seems like the violent discontent that's racked the streets for the last few weeks has chosen to abate for a moment. A heavy bag is slung over your shoulder and Camille hurries behind you, carrying everything else. Other than your fine wardrobe, you actually possessed very little in the way of valuables. You were never a woman of great means. You'd merely found a way to live like one. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Twisting and turning through the streets, you approach every corner cautiously. Often you find barricades blocking your way, forcing you to backtrack multiple times. As you skulk across the city, you remain in cautious silence. Even though you can't see them, you can feel the weight of eyes upon you. Eyes watching you from inside houses. Eyes of people too afraid to leave their own homes in the daylight, much less at night. You arrive at the address along the river. There's no official dockmaster here, and you have to squint to spot a ship waiting in the river. All of its lamps have been extinguished, and its crew labors in silence, doing their best to blend in with the quiet of the night. A few rowboats are pulled up on the sand, accompanied by small clusters of sailors and fellow travelers loading their cases. You peer into the dark at your fellow travelers, searching desperately for some sort of familiar face. Eventually, one appears. I'm glad to see you've made it, Alex says in a low voice, keeping a firm hand on his saber to stop it from rattling. I'm sorry, but I can't stay long. My unit is moving out to secure Pont Neuf in a few hours. Wait, what? Excuse me? Alex? You're not coming with me? Oh, I want that more than anything, he replies, putting a hand around your waist and bringing you in close. I want to disappear with you and start something new. But I can't do that yet. My duty is here. No. Why not, though? Leave with me. Let's just all go. We can escape together.
Huh.
He sighs, looks back towards the city, towards a place he swore to protect.
Corporal Dumas, what the devil are you doing here?
Alex suddenly straightens up and puts his hands out defensively.
Darvin, you don't understand. You're damn right I don't understand. A beautiful woman, charming and clever, wants to whisk you away from this thankless life of blood and gunpowder, and you're even considering staying? You'll either go with her right now or step aside and I will. Darvin, we swore an oath, our duty. To the hangman with our duty. I'll make something up to tell our lieutenant. The city's already descended so far into chaos that he is likely to believe any tale I tell him about your sudden disappearance. Genuinely moved, Alex pauses to salute his friend. You're a true man of chivalry, Diavon. Yes, of course I am. Now take this lovely woman and go, before I realize how incredibly stupid I am for being here right now. The young dragoon barks angrily. Corporal whatever. Marches away into the night, leaving you with Alex on the beach. Well, I guess that's that then. Alex laughs, running his fingers through his hair.
Huh.
Camille approaches you and whispers,
Madame, I just finished packing your things into the boat, and the sailors are telling us that we'll need to leave soon. Oh, bonjour, Monsieur Dumas, are you joining us on our boat ride?
Ooh.
It appears that I am. It seems like we could all use a change of scenery.
What should we do now, Madame?
I need just a moment. Let me take one. No, you know what? I don't care. Let's shove off. We can figure out our destination later. With a strong but gentle hand, Alex helps you board the boat, followed quickly by your servants. Without another word, the sailors shove off into the water. You may have labored long and hard to get here, but that time is over. The city's changed, and now you need to change as well. Staring out at the ship that will take you out to the rest of the world, you feel a renewed sense of purpose. You may have come here alone, but you've left with a man as gallant as Alex. Paris may burn, but together you both have a whole world ahead of you. Of course, while your own story comes to its close, the stories of others either continue to be written or are tragically cut short. Hopping between vessels under the cover of midnight, you with your servants and ill-gotten wealth in tow. Wealth, I have 346. Livard, which is potentially going to become worthless if the revolution works out. You fled Paris. While there's a romance in staying loyal to the city even while it burns, there's a greater romance in staying alive. You and Alex fled together. You may have discarded the city, but he left behind his duty and a chance of claiming his title. While he may have been conflicted at first, over the last few days he seemed less and less bothered by this possibility. So, this is what it means to be a free man, he whispers to himself with a smile as he looks off the bow of the ship into the setting sun. The wind whips playfully against the edges of his shirt. He puts his firm hand around your waist, and you rest your head upon his shoulder. Together you may have lost a city and a title, but the two of you have managed to claim happiness instead. Elizabeth, the great painter, haunted by the malaise that sapped her inspiration and stifled her art. With the nobility's victory over the revolutionaries, Paris eventually returned to something resembling normalcy. However, Elizabeth still struggles with both her past scandals and a dearth of artistic inspiration. That's too bad. Ludovico the priest pushed into the clergy against his will, who struggled with a higher calling that pulled against his desire to have the love and happiness afforded to the parishioners he himself led in prayer. Back in Rome, he was happy to watch the nobility maintain their grip on power, as it prevented the revolutionaries from bringing more bloodshed to an already troubled country. He spends his days sending petitions urging His Majesty King Louis XVI to use this newfound stability as an opportunity to alleviate the suffering and starvation so rife amongst the common people, but he has yet to receive a reply. Honorage, the opulent and domineering widow who still grieved openly for her husband Charles, who passed away all those years ago. Oh, that didn't sound very good.
Despite her attempts to urge her associates in the bourgeoisie to oppose the nobility's stranglehold on power wherever possible, the revolution was crushed regardless. A few months later, she was guillotined for the crime of sedition. Sorry about that, Honorad. We did our best. Perhaps now she and Charles will finally be reunited. There's also Antoine, the fiery revolutionary who would stop at nothing to bring liberty to France. Even from the beginning, he burned with an ardor that threatened to become a raging inferno. Then, when the dream of revolution died, Antoine died with it. Armed guards stormed his modest apartment a few weeks ago. Instead of surrendering to the enemies of the people, he died trying to strangle the first man who attempted to arrest him. Seems accurate. Pierre, of course, survived the upheaval, because men like him have always been well equipped to survive anything that fortune might throw their way. Honest men may find themselves ill-prepared in times of unease, but dishonest ones are quite used to facing danger at every turn. Of course, that's usually because their dangers are entirely of their own creation. While he may have been seen toasting to the victory of nobility and tradition, he's also being heard grousing himself about the renewed harsh censorship laws being imposed by the crown. Printing the salacious truth is going to be a lot harder for the foreseeable future. Fatima, the enterprising dressmaker who was the font from which much of your elegance flowed, has still managed to keep her shop open. After the nobility's close call with consequences for their excesses, there's been a renewed interest in personal protection. More and more clients have been requesting that Fatima use tightly stitched layers of silk to add armor to their finery. It might even work. At least it's likely to work if the assassin in question also agrees to use a silk dagger. Regardless, she is happy enough to take their money. And of course, there's Camille. Your indefatigable. I've never seen that word before. It means like she can't be tired out? She can't be fatigued? She was passed out in the hallway one day, right? Anyway, my handmaiden, who has been at my side since my first moments in Paris. She was equal parts nervous and excited to flee Paris with you. Camille seems quite excited by this new vagabond lifestyle, though is still having trouble getting her sea legs and keeps bumping into things. So the grand arc of your story comes to a suitable close, with the sun proverbially setting on this chapter of your life. As the dust settles, you find yourself romantically entwined with Alex, and the promising and gallant dragoon who was once haunted by the very nature of his lineage, always seeking to prove himself worthy of his family's legacy. Together you fled Paris to escape the coming inferno of rebellion. While you haven't settled on your final destination, you've been considering England, as nobody would look for either of you there. Until then, the two of you are content to ply the seas together. You're still having a little trouble maintaining your balance on a moving ship, but Alex is more than eager to hold you tight while you learn. And as always, in Paris, life goes on. And there you have it. Thank you, one and all, for joining me for this adventure. That is going to be our story. I prefer to play visual novels, you know, once and done, instead of doing all the different routes. That's more of my wife's thing. So if you'd like to ensure that you get every last shred of dialogue possible for any visual novels that she might play, I suggest you head over to Girl Got Game and check her out if you haven't already. And that is it. I am kind of curious how other things would end up, but I'm satisfied that we did not get our heads chopped off. So thank you, everybody. It's good to see you, and we will see you in the next video. Don't know what I'm going to be playing next. I have a couple of possible games, but they're not going to be of the visual novel variety, at least for the time being. Okay, see you in the next video.